going to get to know a group of women who specialize in cutting loose. As they see it, they've already spent a lifetime devoting themselves to their work, their kids, their life partners, and their communities. They think they're entitled to a little fun. If that sounds good to you, chances are that you can join them. Their organization has party-hardy chapters throughout the U.S. and around the globe. They call themselves the Red Hat Society.
For hundreds of years, societies have formed in secret to veil their existence and hide their activities from outsiders. These groups have lived in the shadows and thrived on stealth. The Red Hat Society is not one of these groups. All over the world, millions of women over 50 are discovering the Red Hat Society, a playful organization that promotes a fun-loving lifestyle and an ostentatious fashion sense.
My mother-in-law came back from a cruise, and she was excited about these women in red hats and purple shirts, and she kept always wanted to join a group.
I had heard about the Red Hat Society, but my interest was piqued a couple of years ago when I was out having lunch with some friends, and there happened to be a Red Hat chapter, not this one, but another Red Hat chapter, having lunch. And they kept running to and from the ladies' room and laughing and having so much fun that I said, that sounds like fun.
Thank you, whoever picked this out.
And fun is what it's all about. It started with 2 lines from a poem by writer Jenny Joseph. When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple with a red hat, which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. The Society's founder, Sue Ellen Cooper, read these words and was inspired to give red hats to her friends as birthday gifts, along with copies of the poem. The women began to gather for tea in their red and purple outfits, and in 1998, the Red Hat Society was born. The idea spread rapidly, and now there are thousands of chapters sporting red hats in 31 countries.
Red hat women wear red hats and purple outfits. And that's to signify that we're over 50 and that we are free to do as we please.
The idea of being a red hatter is that you're at a point in your life where you can just be yourself. You don't have to please anybody. You don't have to be somebody's mother, grandmother, aunt. All you have to do is just come here with your red hat, your purple outfit. That's all that's required, and you can just enjoy yourself and have a good time and leave all your problems at the door when you step into your event.
It makes us stand out. We're different. We're just different than anybody because they don't match. Red and purple don't match.
I love it because it brings out the little girl in me. I just love the dress-up part of it.
It's almost like getting ready for a costume party because, you know, it's not, you wouldn't normally walk around like this, but for the red hat functions, you know you do. And it's a lot of fun to be able to dress different than you do every single day. You're in a different mode, you know you're going to go somewhere and you're going to have a lot of fun.
The Baltimore Red Hat Huns are one chapter of this flamboyant international phenomenon. At their annual crab feast, the only thing more visible than the outfit is the attitude.
These crabs might be hot, but they sure aren't as hot as us.
We did it last year, which was the first year, and it was a big success. I mean, it was a big, big success. So we decided we've got to do it again.
So what do the Red Hat Huns do the rest of the year?
We do lots of things. We have crab feasts, we do bowling, we go to dinner theaters.
We've been on the dinner boat thing in Havre de Grace. They went to New York and done plays.
We go to the zoo, the Pimlico racetrack.
If you're looking for a focus, don't. There isn't one, and that's the point. Just about any group activity can make a good Red Hat Society function, as long as it's fun.
It's not like a fraternal organization where you have to volunteer time and do things and get awards. This is just a fun thing, and that's what makes it so great.
All through school, all through college, all through my working career, I was never a member of any group. And then when my sister asked me to join this, I realized what I actually missed. The sisterhood and the friendship and the camaraderie and being able to call somebody.
First table again, up for one more round of gifts. No pinching, smelling, shaking, fondling.
It broadens our horizons, makes us better people, makes us open, makes us more forgiving and more accepting of and you learn everyone. More about other people. Everyone. And I've never belonged to any group, and I wait till I'm 50 to join one.
Red Hatters aren't trying to hide their years. They're reveling in them.
From the time I was young, I always felt that older was 10 years older than me. And so I still feel pretty young.
Seniors today are not the seniors that we knew of back when my parents were seniors. They're younger. If you look at seniors now, they have these senior developments, 55 and older, and these people are having more fun than the kids are.
If the Red Hat Society has a mission, it's to give women over 50 greater visibility and change the way that society views them. Fortunately for society members, the best way to achieve that goal is to keep having fun.
We're in a culture that promotes youth, and nothing wrong with youth, but I believe that older ladies have a lot to bring to experiences, and that this is a celebration. The Red Hat Society is a recognition and celebration.
You get together with a bunch of girlfriends and you can act silly, and we do fun events, and it's just, you let your hair down, say whatever you want to say, do whatever you want to do. You don't care what people think anymore. You're 50, you don't care. You just want to have a good time.
It's just neat. I love being a part of it. I love the camaraderie, the friendship.
This group is about sisterhood. That's it, sisterhood. You have to have a sister, whether it's a blood sister or someone who's not related. That's what it's all about.
We like to have fun, and we don't think getting older is such a bad thing. You know, wine improves with age, too.
Hey! Bye! Bye! We had a great time. Bye-bye. Bye!
Here to tell us more about the Red Hat Society and its unabashed mission are two scholars who have actually studied the social phenomena that the society represents. Dr. Mary Beth Staup is an assistant professor of sociology, anthropology, and criminology at the University of Northern Iowa and obtained her PhD at the University of Georgia. Dr. Elise Redina is assistant professor of family studies and social work at Miami University and received her PhD in human development and family studies from the University of Missouri. Dr. Staup and Dr. Redina collaborated on a paper entitled "We Do It 'Cause It's Fun: Creating Women's Leisure Space Through Red Hat Society Membership." Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, I have to tell you, I have my PhD, but it doesn't sound like my dissertation or my research is as fun as yours was. How did you hear about Red Hat Society? What made you start to study it?
Well, we have another colleague at the University of Northern Iowa, I think, who came up with the idea and is a senior colleague and invited us along. She actually has great interest in costuming and was interested in the hat-wearing behavior, as it's quite uncommon in modern day. And we were invited along the project and just started rolling a couple of years ago.
That's so interesting. In full disclosure, clearly, you guys are not over the age of 50 and are not members, but I understand that there's a special catch if you're under the age of 50, that you can do something a little different?
You can wear a pink hat
if
you're under 50, and lavender, not purple.
Pink and lavender.
Yes.
And when did that start? Why do you think that they started to include younger adults?
I don't know.
Well, I think it becoming 50 is such a positive milestone for Red Hat members, that there are a lot of women who wanted to participate, and in doing so in a respectful manner. And so I think it was adapted. Actually, the founder, it's included in one of her books about pink hats. So it sort of reads as a how-to for Red Hat Society chapters.
When you talk about Red Hat Society and through your research, what needs have you seen that it's fulfilled?
Well, certainly in a paper that I'm working on right now as a primary author for, fulfilling a need for combating social isolation issues in later life, particularly women who may not be married as they get older due to divorce, widowhood, or maybe never having been married. And like in the video said, not having social relations with other people. So social isolation is certainly something older adults need to be concerned about.
Social isolation, why are we able to combat that a little bit with these kind of activities?
Well, I think as we go through the life course, sort of the friendship element is really there. Another element that's very present in Red Hat societies are the structures of the chapters. They often call themselves disorganizations.
You know what, I want to follow up on that question right when we come back. Hold on, hold that thought. It's time for another break. Stay with us because we'll be back shortly to continue our conversation about the Red Hat Society with Dr. Mary Beth Stout and Dr. Elise Radina.
Do you know? The Hats were a political faction in the 1700s in what European nation? A. Germany, B. Russia, C. Portugal, D. Sweden. Do you know? The answer is D. Sweden. The Hats emerged during Sweden's Age of Liberty, 1719 through 1772, and were founded on the ideal of restoring the country's alliance with France. Their rivals were the Caps.
Welcome back to the Daily Apple, where we're discussing the fun-loving phenomena that is the Red Hat Society with Dr. Mary Beth Stout, Assistant Professor of Sociology, Anthropology, and Criminology at the University of Northern Iowa, and Dr. Elise Radina, Assistant Professor of Family Studies and Social Work at Miami University. Before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about the interaction and sort of the mental health aspects of the Red Hat Society. Can you go a little further with that for me?
Sure. In addition to alleviating social isolation, women at midlife, 40 to 60 years of age, often find themselves with time that they hadn't had before and often want to jump into a leisure activity of their own. The Red Hat Society offers women sort of a guilt-free way to have fun where they are caring for themselves. So they get to take care of themselves by having fun. They're better people when they're finished, and they can go back in their own lives and do care work for others.
That's great. I know that it's in 31 countries, correct? How many members are there now?
Close to 1 million from what I understand.
Close to 1 million members. Wow. So how many organizations would that be? Do you know?
I think that last count, there's 41,000 chapters, but that's going to change all the time. There are a lot of new chapters coming up all the time. The website would have the best count.
Well, and some of them aren't registered on the website as official.
Well, I met this woman today who told me that she has 13 members in her Red Hat Society, and I said, well, why is it so small? She said, because we don't want to share. We're having too much fun, and we'll have to separate tables at dinner if we have too many members.
Exactly. It's too hard to make dinner reservations with more than that.
So they keep them kind of tight. Why do you think it's so popular?
Well, I think it's an affirmation of aging. It's sort of in your face about getting older that our society, especially for women, has really looked at older women as in a negative light. And this is sort of an in-your-face way of saying we're getting older and we love it.
Now, I heard that there was also an intergenerational side to it, that what we referred to earlier as the pink hats and the red hats are getting together. Can you expand on that?
Well, anecdotally, some of the women that I've talked to have started joining these organizations with their mothers who are over 50. And particularly one individual had her graduation recently. She turned 50 and moved from being a pink hatter to a red hatter. And so she's in her chapter with her mother, who's 85.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you, in your research, have you found, I know you sort of look at the theoretical side of it as well, do you see some people that, if not at first, throughout the whole experience, have a little trouble having fun or just letting go?
Yeah, there's a lot of guilt initially, I think, and a lot of hesitation to becoming a full-fledged Red Hatter. The costuming helps. A lot of the women that we've talked with say that once they've gone out fully fledged in their red and purple, they feel like they belong, and that's the last step that they need to take. And that's when they start talking about it to other people and encouraging them to start their own chapters.
So is the entire theory or the entire experience dedicated to just having fun?
Absolutely.
So what is fun?
However you want to define it.
And that's an interesting piece of our research. The fun that each chapter defines is questionable by other chapters, probably. Some chapters go out and taste wine. Some chapters have actually started doing service work, which others might not consider fun. It's really up to the chapter, and sort of understanding self-defined fun is one of the difficult parts, not only for Red Hatters, but outsiders to understand. That couldn't possibly be fun.
Sure, I can see that from both sides of the coin. I noticed that the founder now has a best-selling book, and they're selling, what do they have, 30 licensees that they're working with. Is it becoming a little bit commercial at this point? Tell me a little bit about that part.
Actually, Mary Beth has done some research on that specifically, so I'm sure she could talk to that.
We started looking at sort of the consumption patterns and asking Red Hatters about their opinions, right? Because as outsiders, we can say, oh, sure, this is a racket, right? Red Hatters are both adhering to and resisting to the materials made available to them. There's a large DIY component to Red Hatters.
Do it yourself for those of you that don't do it yourself, similar to me.
Yeah, they'll often go to a discount store, craft store, buy a plain hat and bling it up. That's their word, definitely. So we have women at midlife and older using words like bling and zhuzh, etc.
Nice.
So it's great. So they really, that's often another thing they do together, is make their own hat.
Now, is it the hat thing that makes it just for women, or are there other attributes why it's not a multi-gender? Or
I think it's the girly aspect. It's the feather boas and the hats and the dresses and the jewelry. And in fact, we went to a large group organization meeting, and there was a woman running around in a grass skirt and with little blingy things in her hair and a wand, and it was very girly dress up.
I bet you guys had the best time of your lives there.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of
How does
fun.
it compare, though? Sometimes when you hear about some of the men's club, they're quite serious, and sometimes they're very sort of on a path of raising money or doing philanthropic things. For instance, the Elks Club. How does an organization like this compare to one of those?
Well, the purpose is different. They actually call themselves a disorganization, and that's the founder's word. So it's for fun. There are no office structures, so that women often typically belong to many voluntary organizations, which is what we would call them in the discipline. Voluntary organizations, women's versions of the Elks Club, the PTA, clubs like that, where they have duties and philanthropic goals. Red Hat is for fun. They're there to have fun. If they show up, great. If they don't, great.
So be it. What concerns me is a little bit is that there actually has to be an organization or a disorganization, as you said, to have fun. Is it societal? And it's 31 countries, so it seems cross-cultural that we have to provide an access place for people to have fun. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think particularly for women, their lives are so surrounded often by their careers or their families. And so this is really an excuse to carve out that time for them, to say, I'm going to be a part of this organization because I want to have fun, and it provides them that space. It gives them legitimacy to do that. And it's an unfortunate thing for our society that we have to do that.
Do you think that through a Red Hat Society or through organizations like this, the image of women is changing a bit?
Yeah, I think that first they're challenging aging. We have women who, as we know in society, once women get older, their social cash, women's social cash are their looks. And so as we age, our social cash decreases. These women are not only saying, hey, we're not old, but this is what it means to be this age. We are not disappearing into the woodwork. We're wearing red and purple, and we're in your face. We're having lunch. We're cackling. You'll notice us.
Yeah. You know, and one of the things that I was thinking when I was watching that, these women looked like that they had such endurance and strength. Do you think their family members and their friends notice that when they go home and they go back into their communities?
Absolutely. Several women have talked about how their husbands have really encouraged this, or they've received attention from men outside of it and said, oh, my wife really needs to be a part of this.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Wow, so what's the hypothesis? What are you looking for in your research?
Well, we've got a couple of ideas. One is the making time and space to have fun. That covers gender, that covers leisure, that covers alleviating social isolation. We also look at, if you notice the women in the film clip, they're also sort of campy in the way that they're presenting themselves. So they're challenging aging, but they're also challenging femininity. So some of them are playing dress up, some of them are playing over dress up, and they're very conscious of that.
Well, this has been fabulous information. I got to tell you, while I was watching, I was really almost anticipating or looking forward to the day I turn 50 to become a member. So I'm sure you both are. Thank you for being here today. We've appreciated it very much.
Thank you.